Hey, everybody. This week on Up Your Alley, we've got two music documentary recommendations, a weird combination that we just both happen to fall into this time. We're talking about Jake's recommendation for me, the 2024 Netflix documentary, The Greatest Night in Pop, about the recording of We Are the World, and my recommendation for Jake, the two-part Max documentary, Taylor Swift vs. Scooter Braun, Bad Blood. We're going to talk about that. We've got some Elden Ring updates, and Jake went and saw a new horror movie. All that coming up. And Jake, you got anything to add?
No. I did it one time and it got you so mad. I was like, I can do it again.
You're making me mad now. Oh, what a great theme song. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man.
Welcome, everybody, to Up Your Alley. My name is Taylor, and with me, as always, is my best friend, Jake Baggett. Say hi, Jake.
Hey, buddy.
It's a show where we recommend things to each other. We come back the next week and rate them on a scale of 1 to 3 based on how much it is up our individual alleys. Again, we're talking about two documentaries, The Greatest Night in Pop and Taylor Swift vs. Scooter Braun, Bad Blood. And, yeah, we're going to get to that. But first, how you doing, bud?
Everything's pretty okay.
Things are good.
I got my new position at my job, right?
Hell yeah.
And now I have to do computer-based training, right?
Hell yeah?
No.
No. Okay.
It's my least favorite.
I don't know.
Have you ever done computer-based training?
Yes, I got my certificate from JMU. Just a little certificate. It was a 6-week computer class. It sucked.
Well, it's just you sit down and they're like, here's fire safety, and you have to sit through like 6 slides.
Oh, it's corporate,
like,
so you're not learning.
Well, sometimes I am learning, and it's like, that's interesting that this is how things work. But then most of the time, it's like, this is how we define what we would call a grand event. This one is a low-scale grand event. This one is a wet grand event.
A wet grand event?
I'm making all these up.
That's a flood.
But but they're like my favorite part in the Bible.
Yeah.
It's
a good one. It's out of the way early. It's all downhill from there.
You can't pass until you take the quiz at the end, and they're worded wild. And I don't have the patience. I am not built to take tests,
right?
Because
you don't got that brain.
Yeah. When I look at tests and they're multiple choice, they're like eliminate 2 that they clearly aren't, then choose the other one. It's all of them. Nothing makes sense to me.
Yeah, you're more looking at it. Oral report type of guy. Like, you can tell people what you know. But
I can show you, but I cannot choose multiple choice. So I am in hell for the moment.
That sucks. See, when you were saying it was computer-based, I was like, oh, he's learning more stuff about computers. I didn't know it was like, you know, when you get like too many speeding tickets and you have to sign up for a driver improvement class. So it's basically just that.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound as fun. I got a Traeger pellet grill over the weekend.
Nice.
Yes. So do you know about the Traeger pellet grill?
No.
Okay. So imagine the greatest thing ever created. It's better than that. So what the Traeger is, I got the Pro Model 22. It's a pellet grill, so it's like you buy these little pellets that kind of look like gerbil food.
Charcoal.
No. They're little, they're basically compressed sawdust is what they are, and then they are in this big hopper, and then it falls down into this fire, and it creates the grill with a set temperature. The hopper feeds it in however much you want, and you can set things to low so you can smoke things without having to worry about stoking a fire. Real barbecue people think it's cheating.
Yeah.
And they're right, but I don't care because I'm lazy. And so I did a couple things on it. I did my first brisket, Texas style. You know, watched way too many YouTube things about brisket. Because, like, I know a good bit about cooking. Butchery is not one of my best,
not one of your strong
skilled
ones?
No, but I like to learn more.
Of course.
More and more. And I know, I know the cuts and everything like that, but when it comes to like preparing a whole brisket for smoking, it's a whole different thing. You got to like kind of shape it, make sure it's aerodynamic because you're getting airflow over to it, so you don't want any like these guys down in Texas. These guys down in Texas, they know everything about brisket, and there's so many
cheating. You're bringing NASA into this?
They might. I mean,
no.
They might. It could be some Houston boys down there.
That's true.
But there are like engineers that do it that build their own smokers. Like they get like oil drums or old propane tanks and stuff, and they like engineer and spot weld their own smokers. It's fascinating stuff. So the brisket turned out. Are you a brisket guy?
Yeah, I do brisket.
What do you go to? You go to a barbecue place. What do you get?
When I go, it's a pulled pork sandwich.
You
Probably,
go pulled pork?
more than likely.
I do love pulled pork. Pulled pork's easy for me.
Ribs?
You've had my
Ribs.
pulled pork. Pulled pork's easy.
Ribs are delicious.
Yeah. Have you had my ribs?
No,
Oh, man, you got to come over and just have a barbecue day one day.
I'll eat food. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I do like barbecue. But with the brisket, it turned out fine. It wasn't trimmed as well as it should have. So there were a little bit of dry areas and stuff, but it was good day of, and it's good day after if you chop it. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's my new favorite thing. And today, I was texting Jake earlier, the Fauquier County Fair is this year. I don't know if I talked about it on the show last year, but I entered one cookie last year in the fancy cookie category.
Yeah.
And they gave me second place.
That's a great place.
In the words of Michael Jordan, I took that personal. And I vowed to come back with a vengeance with 4 things this year. I have my fancy cookie, my brownie, which Jake had just a bit ago. It's a good brownie.
Brownie, yeah.
Smoked the brownie. So you turn the Traeger down to smoke, and then I put the brownie batter on there for about 5 minutes just in the smoke so the wetness of the brownie absorbed the smoke. And then you crank it up to 350. You can use it just like an oven. Huh. Thing's the most amazing bit of tech I have.
That's pretty cool.
So happy with it. It made me so happy. Like, I just want to sit out and just, the kid and I, when we were doing the brisket, we put it on at 10 o'clock at night, and then she wanted to be a part of it, so she's like, I'm going to wake us up at 2 o'clock and check on it. Because I didn't know, like, how the hopper is an 18-pound hopper, and the instruction book says, this hopper will last you between 6 and 20 hours. And I'm like, that's a huge gap of time with how much, fuel I have in this thing. It's like if you got into your car and it's like you have between 20 and 600 miles left in this gas tank. You're like, I would like something a little more specific.
Right.
So we woke up in the middle of the night, checked on it, woke up at 6 in the morning, checked on it, wrapped it, took it off at like probably noon. It was on after that. It was on the smoker for about 16 hours.
This is too long.
Yeah. And it was just okay. It's one of those things I
Your
want.
cookies.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to submit more than one?
In different categories.
Oh, okay.
There's
fancy
a brownie
cookie?
Fancy cookie brownie. I have a gluten-free, which is made with Sea Island blue cornmeal from South Carolina. And then I have my oatmeal raisin. You know the fake whiskey that I have?
Yeah.
The Ritual Zero Proof stuff? I soaked the raisins in that.
Okay.
I got some of those for you in there, too. You like an oatmeal raisin?
Yeah.
It's
I
gonna
love
be great.
oatmeal raisin.
Yeah. But while I was doing that the whole time and just going crazy about cooking stuff, Jake went and saw something that I don't
You wouldn't like it at all.
So,
no, sir.
What's this? It's called all I know is it's Longlegs and Nicolas Cage is in it, but in all the promo material, they don't show you Nicolas Cage. They're like, he's in it, but we're not going to... Like, there was something I saw on X that was like the actress whose name I'm blanking on.
Micah
Yeah.
Monroe, I believe her name is.
Something like that. But they're like, here's her shot the first time she saw Nicolas Cage, and they had her like hooked up to a heart rate monitor.
Yeah, I was very not interested in the advertising.
It's weird marketing.
It's weird marketing. I'll give it one thing in that it didn't reveal anything of the movie. Mm-hmm. Apparently, when they were shooting the movie, when they were marketing the movie, apparently what they said was just don't show Nicolas Cage. We don't let it be a reveal in the movie. So this is what they came up with. So they did a good job keeping a lot of what's fun about the movie secret, pretty darn secret.
Did they build the anticipation in the film to like, this is when it's coming up that you're going to see Nick Cage?
They do a great job with it. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a movie I don't want to tell you anything about because it's just an FBI agent who's on the trail for a serial killer.
Classic.
Nicolas Cage.
And they, call him the Longlegs Killer or something like that?
He calls himself Longlegs.
Nice.
Yes. And
cool name.
It's incredible. I thought it was fantastic.
Really?
It was a movie that I don't think you would like because I was frustrated with it until like the final 20 minutes when everything started coming together for me. And I was like, oh, okay, this movie is absolutely incredible.
So it was, you think it was purposefully frustrating?
Yes.
Like it's trying to piss you off a little bit and then it kind of comes together?
Well, it's frustrating because it feels like things are happening that don't make sense.
Huh.
And then things start making sense. And then that's when it's like, oh, holy cow, this is an incredible film.
Really?
It's beautifully shot. I think it's acted so well. And I want to see it again, like, immediately.
Huh.
Yes.
How was
I don't
it?
think you would like it because it's not scary like the marketing said, where her her BPM went all the way up.
Right.
To
You saw the thing I'm talking
176.
about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael stated that her resting heart rate is 70 BPM, and then she
went
saw
up to
Nicolas Cage,
140.
and it went up to 72 BPM.
Honestly, my heart would probably go up that big if I saw Nicolas Cage
That's what
doing
I'm
anything.
saying. We have to have a set.
Like, what's a control group?
Yes,
for
we need a control.
If I'm walking around with like one of the Whoop bands on, and I'm like, all right, my average heart rate. If I'm walking around for a guy my size, it's probably like 120. And then if I turn the corner and Nicolas Cage was there doing anything,
Exactly.
it'd probably jump up to about 200. Like, oh shit, it's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
How is that good marketing?
How does it compare to the first time she met Nicolas Cage?
Right? Did she meet him beforehand, or
Yeah.
it's like, hey, you're going to be meeting with Nicolas Cage, and then like she didn't get to talk to him at all, or was it makeup or
Yeah.
like heavily maked up?
Yeah.
Because I knew nothing
A
about the movie.
performance that is so different from him,
Well,
but
that's
executed incredibly well.
weird to say this, but saying it's different for him is
Yeah.
very hard to say with Nicolas Cage because he's different in
He
almost
he gives
anything.
it his all. A
Really?
lot. So, in a lot of his movies, he gives it his all.
Uh-huh.
But
We watched
he
what
said
was
in
Dream
it-
Scenario.
Yes,
He was great in that.
that movie's fantastic.
I think that's the only Cage we've had on this podcast.
But he says that when he is inspired by acting, he usually pulls inspiration from his father to act like his father in his characters. And this is the time when he wanted to pull inspiration from his mother.
Really?
Yes. And I think it's a fantastic performance from him.
Huh.
I think Micah Monroe, I really believe that's her name. I really
Yeah.
hope so. I think her performance was amazing in this movie. Everything, it was so... It was like a horror movie that I wanted to see in a long time. It's
Psychological or like
Yeah. like all the above.
not like super gory.
Yes, gory.
Really?
Yes.
Eek.
Psychological, cerebral,
Really?
gory.
So this is a
Beautiful. One of the coolest things. It takes place in the 90s. And
Love that.
They use
kind of like a Silence of the Lamb vibes.
the yellow light bulbs. You remember that we had when we were kids?
Oh yeah.
So a lot of it's that yellow that's so familiar to us when we were kids.
Weird.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
When you see it drenched in a living room like that, it is like, wow.
Takes you
this
right
is-
back.
Yeah, this is wild.
Yeah.
It does a great job.
Huh.
It's shot beautifully. Oz Perkins is the director.
No idea.
Anthony Perkins' son.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
He was in Legally Blonde.
Cool. has he directed anything else?
Yes, he has. I haven't seen it, though.
Wait, is he the nerdy guy in Legally Blonde?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
I like that character.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
But
So on Rotten Tomatoes, this has 87 from critics, 64 for audience.
I think it's because it's a...
Frustrating?
Well, because, there's a lot going on, and it feels like it's not making any sense.
Huh.
And then after a while, I pick up on an idea of what might be going on, and then I
Twist it.
really feel like that's what was going on. And I was like, okay, this movie's great.
I'm trying to pull from this show and think of the movies
show-
make me think like that. Is kind of like Enemy. We talked about Enemy, the Denis Villeneuve movie.
Yeah, a little
so
bit like
kind of like
Enemy.
for the first 3/4 of that movie,
Where-
you think
and-
you know what's going on, and then it switches.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
very
I
much
really
so.
liked. I mean, we talked about it. You can
Yeah.
go back and listen to that episode. I really liked Enemy.
Yeah,
I thought it was
Enemy
a
was
great
great.
movie.
This movie is... it doesn't
Also
hold
had
your
a-
hand.
Enemy also had a spider in it. Is there a big spider in this one?
Oh, yeah, like a Longlegs.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you nothing.
Is there a big?
You can watch the movie.
Does someone turn into a giant spider at
I'm not
the end?
telling you nothing. You can watch the movie.
God damn it!
But
Well-
yeah, I would say it reminded me of True Detective a lot when I was watching it.
I've only seen
The
season
first-
1 and half of season
The
2.
first season.
That was also
Yeah.
a very yellow show.
Yeah. And that was also a show that took place in the 90s mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a vision that I think was executed like exactly as it was baked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As what it was thought of, like it came out exactly like that.
Huh.
And I was just blown over.
See, now you kind of make me want to see it.
I don't think you will like it.
I don't like being scared.
You're going to be scared. Yeah.
So scarier than Enemy, because Enemy was tense.
Yes.
It wasn't like scary.
This will make you upset.
Okay, so not famously, between you and I, last October you had me 4 horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
You had me do Freddy, Jason, Texas Chainsaw, and Halloween, Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
Scarier than all 4 of those?
Yes.
Because the one I found most scary of that, I think, was Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Maybe?
You didn't like that one.
Because it was just very violent and not plot heavy.
But it's like, have you seen Midsommar?
With Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
I know the plot of it. So I do a weird thing when a movie looks really scary and people say
Yeah.
it's really scary. I'll read like an in-depth Wikipedia plot breakdown.
Yeah.
Like it's a short, scary movie.
Uh-huh.
And I read that of Midsommar, so I know what happens in Midsommar. But I've never seen it. I read it and I'm like, I don't want to see
The
this.
only reason I bring it up is it's upsetting like that movie is.
Yeah.
It's just upsetting.
Yeah.
And I like to be upset. Watching a movie that challenges me and then I come back going, that did not make me feel good.
Right.
Yeah. I just don't like feeling mad.
Yeah.
Didn't make me mad. It made me go, oh my goodness. That is awful.
Well, it gets the Jake Baggett stamp of approval.
Absolutely.
Then. Yeah.
All right.
Longlegs.
I would highly recommend.
We do have to go see a movie this weekend. Twisters is coming out.
Yes, I'm in.
I'm in for Twisters. You want to go Saturday?
I'm pretty sure I'm good.
All right, we'll plan it.
Yeah.
Off mic. We don't want these people knowing where
Right
we
now, 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Just do it right now.
Oh, just go see it?
Plan it right now.
All right. We'll plan it afterwards because I don't feel like looking up.
Text me,
time zone.
212.
Your phone number's not 212.
Dude, it's okay. You can have the kayfabe for a little bit.
I'll do my old. Do you have like random phone numbers still memorized from when you have to do phone numbers?
Yeah.
What do you got?
I'm not doing that.
No, not like people's, but like, do you have like any stores memorized or something like that?
Yeah, 347-0001. That was
Blockbuster?
No, that was Domino's. in
Domino's.
town. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
I wonder if that's still Domino's.
The Papa John's in Bradenton, Florida was at one point 941. Fuck, I had it. I forget now. 941 723 7272. I think so. Because it was 727. Like all the Papa John's were like Papa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no clue.
Yeah. It was kind of fun.
That's kind of cute.
I didn't know that number when you said 0001. I'm
Yeah.
like, I've called that number before.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
We've all remembered that.
That's the Domino's.
When we were kids.
Yeah. I used to have to call Blockbuster all the time too to ask them if they had movies in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't get your parents to drive you down there, or at least I couldn't.
No, not where
unless
we live.
there was verbal confirmation from the kid working there that this was in stock before I go up and look for it.
I never call it. We just went. Always.
And see, it had to be
On a hope and a prayer.
Yeah, but I always knew one thing that I wanted to play, and like it was just like call them and make sure they have it before we go all the way up.
Yeah,
there.
I hear you.
Yeah,
but there would be
in
we
Florida.
would go.
Florida, we could ride our bikes there, so we were up there pretty much every day.
We would go, and we were like, we're gonna rent some movies, and that would be me like complaining, being like, we could probably get a game too, right? And then eventually they'll agree,
Right.
But
yeah, well, you have a bigger movie family than I do.
yeah,
Yeah. Although
movies.
the Blockbuster in Bradenton, Florida had like this gumball machine. It was like baseballs, and like the gumball would come down. You could kind of play like a little pinball thing.
Yeah.
But it had some gumballs in there that printed on them says you get a free video rental. So
Hell yeah.
we'd like look up for quarters, and we just go in there and try to get a free video rental.
damn, that's cool.
Yeah, it was dope. Blockbuster was the shit.
Yeah,
Why don't they
Blockbuster
bring it
was
back?
great. It will be coming back.
Yeah, you think like like in a hipster version or something like that?
Well, video rental stores, I feel like will make a comeback.
When
Yeah.
well, you gotta do something with
because the rental companies went to online streaming, which turned into just channels again.
Yeah.
Which means we need a place that we could go to just get a goddamn movie.
Right, I don't feel like signing
Cheap.
up for Disney Plus, but
Yes.
I want to watch The Acolyte.
Exactly.
Yeah, said no one ever.
Yeah. And now you could just be like, hey, we're Blockbuster.
Yeah.
$10 a month. You come in, get two things.
Right.
And keep them as long as you want.
Sounds pretty good. That's essentially what Netflix was.
Exactly.
Originally. We just reinvented Netflix.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would do.
Did you find? I saw this article. I think it's back from like April or something, but they said that 29% of Disney Plus's viewing hours was one thing.
Well,
Yeah.
Simpsons?
No. And I'm not saying streams. I'm saying 29% of their viewing hours.
Was...
Bluey.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In Bluey's 7-minute episodes.
Yeah. Blue is great.
So you have to watch 10 episodes of Bluey to make it like halfway through Frozen.
Bluey's the...
And I'm like, that's fantastic that they spent so much money on Marvel and Star Wars and Pixar and all of their own things, and they can make $100 million movies that no one goes see. But Australia's just like, here's a dog. He's learning life lessons.
Yep.
You know, he's raising his kids. I think the dad's the main character of Bluey.
Bluey's fantastic.
But then he's
man.
nice enough that he names the show after his daughter because he's just like, all right. But yeah.
That show gives it thumbs up from me.
Yeah, let's watch Bluey later. All right, what else do we want to talk about? We had something else. Oh, Elden Ring.
Yeah.
So
You've been sticking at it, huh?
Yeah.
Sticking to it.
I found a lot of great new Elden Ring YouTubers that have fun ways to play the game. And it's nice seeing it because, one, the game does, like I was talking to you before the show about, the game tells you literally nothing.
Yeah.
Like, there's
it gives you the vague
there's no
idea.
quest log. But, like, I talk, so there's a giant wolf man, and he's like, meet me here.
Yeah.
And I go there, and I can't find him there.
You didn't whistle?
And then he's like, outside. No, it was after I found him.
Oh, okay.
And then he's like, meet me at this lady's tower. And I go see him there. He's like, I work for her. Don't worry about it. And then I try to find him. He's like, go to this lost city. I'm like, there's the city. He's not there. And then I go talk to my giant blacksmith guy. He's like, I put him in a jail. It's like, why'd you do that? How would I have known that unless I came over here? And like in that city, I was telling you, you have to go find this lady's treasure. Could not find it. Ran around all I could to try to find this lady's treasure. You would think in my head, you know, it's a pretty important lady that you're talking to, a witch lady. And she's like, yeah, you got to go find my treasure. And it could be me. I could have completely missed everything about it, but I had to go online. And they're like, yeah, you have to go off to the side here. Then you have to jump onto this building and then jump down there. And then you got to go through here. And then you got to run away from this giant ball. And then it's like, you're like, oh, this is some really obscure thing. How could I have missed this? But then you turn a corner and it's this gigantic cathedral. And you're like, where the hell was this? I couldn't see it from anywhere. So I find the little things. I've beaten three of the main bosses. The first guy, the grafted dude.
Margit?
Mm-hmm. No, Margit and then Godric.
Yeah.
The grafted after that. When I found out that you were supposed to go through that city, I found out afterwards that I had originally gone around the city. When I showed you where I was, you're like, oh, you're pretty far. Still hadn't beaten that guy. I just went around the city, and then I watched a speed run. Summer Games Done Quick was recent. And the guy showed that speed run, and he's like, oh, or you can skip around the city like this. And I had just done that by myself, which was pretty cool. And I beat the Moon Witch lady. And then I beat
Renala.
And then I beat Radon.
Okay.
Which I really liked the Radon fight. That was hard.
Radon
and
fight's great.
I think I was leveled up appropriately for the Radon fight, like when I got there, because I know you have to beat Radon to get into the DLC, which I still haven't gotten into the DLC yet.
You still have to beat one more person.
Moog, Lord of Blood. Don't even know where he is. Where he is. No one's brought him up yet, but apparently I have to beat him. But no one said shit about him.
Yeah, sure.
You'd think the Lord of Blood would be more people would talk about him. But
well, you would think you'd already know about him. He's the Lord of Blood. I feel like the onus is on you for not understanding. It's like you don't know the president. Like,
fair enough.
Everybody here is talking about the president every day. I didn't know. It's up to you. You should have known.
All right, yes. I'm sorry. I'm going to start to do my own research and figure this out on my own.
Pick up the pamphlet once in a while.
But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it, despite not knowing where I'm going.
I'm happy you're into it, man.
But what I was saying about Radon, when I got there, I feel like I was appropriately leveled. I'm doing dual wielding now.
Yeah.
And because I found this gigantic anchor, and I'm like, this is dope. So I started using that anchor, and then one of the YouTubers that I found was just like, you know, it's really cool. You pair that anchor with this pickaxe because this has got pierce damage and this has got pierce damage, and then you could. Apparently, it's a setup that gives you bonus damage if you attack while the enemy is attacking you. The game just levels up your damage, which is good because I'm not like a runaway and parry type of guy. I'm like, I'm going to run at you as fast as I can and try to just hit you as many times and hope you die.
Button mash.
Sorta. Like, I'm not great at this game.
No, dude, you're doing great.
Yeah,
you beat bosses.
I'm having fun with it. That game's
what I mean?
That game's real fun. I'm
happy
glad
you're
I gave
into
it
though, dude.
I'm glad I gave it a second chance. It's the same thing that happened. Yeah.
It's you said I'm not that good at this game. Yeah, you are. You're beating bosses, dog.
I am.
You're doing great.
There's also like 100 bosses that I don't even know about, and people are like, "Oh, you go down to where you fought this guy." And I'm like,
yeah,
who?
That's my favorite thing is that there's just wild bosses everywhere in this damn game.
And I do like turning the corner sometimes. And you just see a giant guy, and then you just go, "Nope," and then you
fight.
turn around and go back the other way.
Like you didn't fight any of the Godskin yet.
No, I did. I fought one of the Godskins. I actually just did it right before you came here because I finished Witch Lady's quest after I looked up online how to do it, and she gave me something that flipped that tower upside down. And then I went through the tower, and then on the way to the big thing, there's a Godskin. And then it was a huge, long thing to go up to this tower, and the tower was so big, and then you take an elevator all the way up, and there was just a dead body there. And I'm like, who is this? Like, I feel like I should know, but I don't. And I'm not skipping cutscenes or anything. There's just...
To me, what I figured is I just act like when in Rome. You know
Fair
what I
enough.
mean? Where I find this dead body, I'm like, good. Like, that's probably something.
Yep.
And then I just take a mental check note and then keep moving forward.
I kept like hitting the dead body, be like,
I get it.
Is this supposed to do something? Like what?
Being in Dark Souls,
haven't done any of those games.
The story,
Yeah.
the first story is ring 2 bells. You know,
That's the whole story.
well, there's a big story around it, but like the goal, the objective is to ring bells first.
Yeah.
And like that's all I cared about. I would read about stuff. I would interact. Weird bosses have weird names. I'm like, that's got to be something. But I am here to ring a bell.
Right. I know I blow this game a lot because it's one of my favorite, but I feel like the 2 open world Zelda games do a really good job of keeping you on track with that big of an open world. Like it's a perfect balance of go out and explore your own, but when you get a little bit lost, be like, where am I supposed to be going? It has that menu where it's nice.
I think this is a good open world structure too, being like
it's different, but
yeah, I can go this way. It's going to be hard. You're not going to like it.
Things are going to suck real quick.
Well, you sent me a picture when you got to Caelid.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, that place sucks.
Yeah.
I don't like going to Caelid.
I think
I hate the music there. I hate the red everything there.
Gross.
The dogs are scary. The
Crows.
birds are scary.
Yeah, you go to that swamp and then you just start dying.
Yeah, I am like
Fuck that.
that's the last place that I went to.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't want to touch anything.
That's where you got to go there to fight Radon.
Yeah.
But it's fun. All
I
right.
don't want to touch any of that.
Let's get into our recs for the week. Let's talk about your rec first.
Okay.
So you recommended me. This was a back-to-back week also of sight unseen recommendations.
Yes.
You recommended the 2024 documentary, The Greatest Night in Pop,
Yes.
on Netflix. Jake, why'd you pick it? Like, what struck your fancy about it?
I thought that this story was going to be about how chaotic it was making this song.
It was.
You know, you get dozens of the most popular singers in the world at the time in one room, and I thought it was going to be a shit show. So I was excited to watch it.
Yeah.
And I was just on my docket, and you just gave me a sight unseen documentary to watch, a sight unseen movie to watch.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to do the same thing to you.
Yeah.
And so I was like, good. And now we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And
So I guess we
there
can
it
both
is.
talk about it. What were your thoughts about the movie?
I thought it was good. I thought
Yeah.
it was a good documentary. I
was.
thought it was cute. I thought it was going to be more about how it's a miracle that this song was even made, which it is, but I thought it was going to be like, man, Ray Charles was like knife fighting people. And
That's who you picked to knife fight?
Shut up.
Is the famously blind?
Huey Lewis wouldn't look anybody in the eye. They didn't even talk
Again,
about check
there are
the
other
ego
people
and-
that you could have made that joke for. That would have been, there were 2 blind people there.
Be quiet. But it was more about just like how incredible it was that they got so many people to agree with meeting up after a music award, some of them after a long tour,
Right.
together for one night and one night only to work for hours to get this song done.
So this was before both of us were born.
Yeah.
1985. So if you don't know, We Are the World was a song that was released in 1985. It was kind of the brainchild of Harry Belafonte, Quincy Jones, and Lionel Richie, where they were going to write a song, and then all the proceeds of that song being sold went to fund famine relief and just relief in Africa. So they sang the song, We Are the World. Big names on it. I knew the song.
We are the children.
I know that. I know that song most from a Mitch Hedberg joke. Do you remember the Hedberg joke? That
Of course.
Yeah.
You don't
We
think
are the
that-
world. We are the children. You remember that song? I fucked you in that pet cemetery.
Yeah, of course that was rolling through my head all the time.
R.I.P. Mitch Hedberg. One of the greatest. Lionel Richie, Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, Tina Turner, Bruce Springsteen, Huey Lewis, Cyndi Lauper, Dionne Warwick. List goes on and on and on and on and on. Huey Lewis and all the news, actually. Most of the news. I found a list of that. So, yeah, it was kind of... There was a lot of footage there because I think they well, obviously...
They were recording a
They knew
music
it.
video.
They knew ahead of time. They're like, we're going to film this. We're going to do
Yeah.
all this stuff. And they had interviews with one of the camera guys that was there.
Yeah.
Who, very funny, at the end of the documentary, he was there shooting all this stuff, and he was the guy that like had all the big shots they used in the music video, and then he was waiting around for his check afterwards. And like, oh no, this is all volunteer.
Yeah, he itemized his time, and he was like, okay, so, like, here's how much I worked. It was like, oh, no, you volunteered. He's like, oh, okay.
Okay. So it goes from like 11 o'clock at night until I think they say they left at like 8 in the morning.
Yeah. They stayed all day except for Waylon Jennings.
Yeah.
And I was let down because I thought it was going to be more about fighting
Right.
and everybody being upset.
So what would you give it if I recommended this to you?
2.
It's a 2 from me as
Yeah.
well. It's a 2 from me as well.
But it was a really fun story. It was great listening to Huey Lewis
Yeah.
talk because it was great listening to Sheila E. talk and be like,
I have notes about Sheila E.
they're like, oh, they just wanted me for Prince.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so they're like, oh, so Prince isn't coming. Who do we get to do Prince's part? And they're like, let's do Huey Lewis. And Huey Lewis is like, oh, God. I hope I just don't mess up.
I do have notes that I made while I was doing this. One of the standouts, it was this weird, like, the setup to this when they're talking about it, because they have interviews with pretty much everyone that's still alive.
A lot of them. Yeah.
Almost everybody.
We got to talk to Bruce Springsteen, talk to Lionel Richie.
Cyndi Lauper
Yeah.
was talking in there, too. Huey Lewis
was there.
Yeah.
Smokey Robinson was there.
Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.
And I think they talked, or not Kenny Rogers, Kenny Loggins they talked to as
Yeah.
well. So it was this weird kind of Avengers setup where it's like Harry Belafonte talks to Lionel Richie, and then Lionel Richie talks to Quincy Jones, and then Quincy Jones is like, oh, I'll talk to Stevie Wonder. And Stevie Wonder's like, I'm going to talk to Michael Jackson. And they like just get all these crazy talented people. I think, scandal noted, Michael Jackson, the way he was in the recording studio, it's something I didn't know about him because, again, I don't know that much about Michael Jackson. I like his music. Scandal noted. But I didn't know too much about his... I know his personal life. I don't know about his process. Like I watched like a whole documentary about Tom Petty, how he writes songs and how he goes through things. But I didn't know Michael Jackson didn't know how to play any instruments, but he had perfect pitch and he could just hum something to you. And he just had that. It was all in his head. It was no physical manifestation of music.
Yeah,
apart from singing and dancing.
Yeah, he had
and stuff
to let
like
it
that.
out by
Right.
Yeah.
But even Quincy and Lionel were just like, oh shit, like he's nailing this.
Yeah.
And Lionel kind of talked about back and forth because Lionel was in the Commodores when the same time Michael was in the Jacksons, so they kind of were competing for radio time at that point. I like the Lionel Richie telling stories, and this is something we talked about.
He was
in
a great
documentaries.
storyteller, huh?
He's great.
Yeah.
You could tell. Well, he was heavily involved in making this too.
Well,
He
he was a producer, but it was his story that he wanted to tell. That's for sure.
He's like, here's a really. I think I
There's
wonder
something
how
really
long-
cool that I got to set up.
Exactly. So if something groundbreaking happens to you, like whatever it may be, let's say you get like lost in the woods. If you're James Franco in 127 Hours, if you're that guy, Aaron, I think Ralston, if I pulled that name out of nowhere, good for me. But if you're that guy and something groundbreaking happens to you and no one wants to make a movie or a documentary about it, how long before you're like, I'm just going to make it myself? Because I don't think you guys heard my story the first time, or...
I don't know. It really depends.
Because this was 40 years ago, and Quincy's just like, no one's made this, or not Quincy, but Lionel's like, no one's made this documentary yet. Like, come on, guys. Like, let's. This is pretty. This is pretty cool. Everybody was here, and no one's made a documentary about it yet. But Lionel Richie telling stories about Michael Jackson is hilarious because he does a great Michael Jackson impression.
Well, just like as soon as he was like, Michael called me Lionel, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like Michael Jackson perfectly.
Lionel.
He's like, look, he's here.
That's
he's
my,
like,
that's my snake, Lionel.
He didn't tell me he lost his pet snake in the room while I was there.
What other notes do I have?
I was happy to hear it was like such a. It felt like a day of work, a day of hard work. You know what I mean? So many people that like it was because the way it was sold to me was that they were like, "Why is Bob Dylan there?" And I thought it meant that Bob Dylan heard about it and he was like, I'm gonna work my way in." But what they were saying, it was perfect.
Pause.
It was perfect.
Pause.
I was going through.
Pause the podcast. Jake, I love all your impressions.
That was a perfect one.
No.
Probably your favorite one.
No, I think you could do a better Dylan than that.
Probably.
Give it another go.
No, I have a thought in my head. It's going to go away. Bob Dylan. So Bob Dylan was, and I thought, but what they were talking about was like, he's not a singer. Why is he here with a bunch of singers?
Right.
And then you watch the part where Bob Dylan is in his own head being like, I don't sing like these people. And then they're like, okay, clear the studio. Let's just have the piano and Bob Dylan and Bob.
Not just the piano. Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, Stevie
on
Wonder.
the piano.
And they do it, and it's an incredible part. It feels great, and I was like, that was awesome to watch these people work.
It was
awesome to watch Quincy Jones work. I had no idea that he was that great at doing this. I knew he was great because of his name. I didn't know that he could just make that shit work.
Yes, and I think that kind of shows the importance of having a producer. And Quincy Jones was also a band leader for years.
Yeah, you could tell that dude just knew what everybody needed, and he had the biggest challenge of his life, and he knocked it out of the park.
It's like being the coach of a professional sports team. You got to know everyone's role and how they're going to play it. And I think that's something that Stevie, like having Stevie Wonder there and Michael Jackson there, it's just two guys that are musical geniuses.
Yes.
Like Stevie Wonder, what you were talking about was showing Bob Dylan how to play. Lionel says that Stevie Wonder was singing it in a Bob Dylan impression.
Yeah.
Just be like, no, Bob Dylan, one of the greatest songwriters ever. This is how you sing. And then he does an impression of him. But Bob Dylan, in this weird sense of humility, was just like, oh, yeah, I got it. That is how I sing.
Yeah.
Like,
it's wonderful.
Maybe this is a 3 for me. Maybe I like this more than I thought.
I think it's really good.
Yeah.
I would give it a 2 just because it's not a story that I was actually looking forward to listening to. But hearing how everybody worked together to get it, how Huey Lewis was really in his head about this stuff.
Yeah.
It felt like everybody was really normal. Like everybody. Like one person was drunk.
Al Jarreau, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody else
the whole time.
Yeah. He was celebrating the whole time. It felt very humanizing to have these people do it. And it felt really good hearing Cyndi Lauper talk about it when she said, I believe that artists have the power to change the world. Mm-hmm. And then she goes, well, but at least we should try. And I was like, that's good. That's a good Cyndi Lauper. I'm happy to hear that.
And then other people like that didn't do the talking heads, that you just see, like Paul Simon wasn't doing a talking head, but you saw Paul Simon. He didn't look, super involved in it. And I think there are different levels of involvement. Yeah. Fucking Dan Aykroyd's in this.
Yes.
Why?
They mentioned it quick.
Right. They're like,
with one, it was like, I wanted Dan Aykroyd to be there.
And then I kept seeing him.
And I'm that's fine. And I see a guy in glasses in the back. And I was like,
why is Dan Aykroyd standing next to Huey Lewis like that? And
he looked like Rick Moranis.
I guess just because the Blues Brothers. That's my guess.
That's true. He did sing.
Is it Blues Brothers? It must just be Blues Brothers.
He can sing. Looking for a Fox is a really good song.
Yeah, and I mean, he looked out of place, but he didn't get a solo. So when they had to do all the solos, he wasn't standing in the little horseshoe.
Yeah.
I think Dan Aykroyd's like, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm out of here. He left with the news, and Huey Lewis was there by himself.
But this was a very fun story.
Yes.
I'm happy I watched it. I would recommend anybody to watch it.
Also,
maybe it is a 3,
Also, a lot of the Jacksons were there. Jackie, LaToya, Marlon, Randy, and Tito.
I did see LaToya was there.
Yeah. A bunch of the Jacksons were there. What else? What else did I have?
But
there's one part, it was probably my favorite part in the documentary, where they were talking about how, going back to like Al Jarreau and like Stevie's idea was to put Dionne Warwick next to Willie Nelson, and then Lionel Richie's like, why are you putting those two next together? And Stevie Wonder's like, no, their voices are going to work perfect together.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't, and you're like, holy shit. Like, Stevie Wonder, not only did he know how to do his part, but he showed up late, wasn't involved in the songwriting.
Yes.
Added some stuff. At some point, he's like, let's sing a part in Swahili.
That's what I thought that part was going to go off the rails.
Right.
Was because Stevie Wonder came in, and they were already singing the song, and he was giving suggestions to the lyrics. They're like...
To Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson.
Yeah, and then they're like, no, Stevie, the song's written. And he goes... Oh, okay.
Right.
He just goes on with it.
Like, but in the fact that he came in and was able to tell, like him and Quincy Jones, since they I think 99% sure, Quincy Jones was the producer on Songs in the Key of Life, one of the best albums ever made, let alone a Stevie Wonder album. But them working so well together, just kind of trust the artist to be like, he knows and Stevie Wonder not only knew the song, but he knew every other artist so well that he's like, this person can do it. Mm-hmm. But there was a part where they were going down the list and so many people were having trouble and they couldn't get it. And recording back then is not what recording is today. You're having to put it on physical tape. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like just like we're doing.
You can hear the frustrations of the engineers being like,
we got to rewind.
Yeah,
we gotta
every time that they flub up something, it's 5 minutes that we have to go back.
Right.
Yeah.
We're recording this. I'm not sure how this works.
Yeah.
But I know that if every time I had to stop and make fun of one of your impressions, someone over there had to like rewind and do that, this would get really frustrating really quickly. But they cut down and then they go down the line. And then it just goes from Springsteen to Kenny Loggins to Steve Perry to Daryl Hall, and all of them just nail it first take. Yeah. And then they kind of look at each other just like,
yeah.
All right. Like Daryl Hall was at the end just being like, I'd really like to practice if we could. Like, just get to my
Lionel and Quincy both were like,
oh, yeah.
that was great.
Yeah.
I love how
Moving
fast
on.
Lionel was like, yeah, we're moving on. That was great.
Yeah, and
they were right every single time.
Steve
I'm not
Perry
gonna
from-
say that they were like, we don't have time for this. But
Steve Perry from Journey just shows up. Like, he doesn't talk at all. He's just standing in the background, and then he just comes up and he just nails it. You're like, God damn, that guy had a voice.
that guy has an incredible voice.
What you talked about a little bit briefly before was this did happen the night of the American Music Awards.
Yes.
And that was, a lot of it was going up. It was Purple Rain versus Thriller, were like a lot of the awards, Prince and Michael Jackson. And Sheila E., who Prince was a big fan of, she performed there, and they're like, let's get Sheila E. to do this, and then maybe she'll invite Prince. And then they were kind of quiet the whole time. And they're like, hey, maybe Sheila, have you heard from Prince? Is Prince going to show up to this recording?
Yeah.
And then apparently Prince calls at one point and is just like, I want to do a guitar solo in another room. And they're like, well, that's not really what this is. And then it's like, Prince isn't coming. And then I felt they did Sheila E. kind of dirty.
They did do Sheila E.
And she was-
especially when she was trying to start and like break out on her own,
Right.
away from Prince.
And they were just
then
using
being
it
like,
just for Prince.
get in here and
Yeah.
bring Prince.
Right.
But it was really nice of the documentary to point it out and let her be like, I really do feel like they were just using me for that.
She was in
'Cause
the
again, it
Talking
was-
Heads as well.
Yeah, it was Lionel Richie's thing. And
Yeah.
maybe Lionel Richie's kind of awesome.
Lionel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think it is.
I really do
Yeah.
think that it's a 3 now.
And who was it at the end? I think it was Dionne Warwick at the end. It was Dionne Warwick or Diana Ross, but at the end they just, when they were all done, they were just like,
Diana Ross.
Yeah, she just said, I'm so sad that this is over.
Yeah, she didn't want to leave.
Right.
She said,
And they all
just
started
love it.
signing each other's copies of the music
That
and
was
everything.
another
Like it was
beautiful
fucking
thing, right?
theater camp.
Yeah.
And it was the end of the show. I was like, this is kind of cool to see all these people.
They were just like, yeah, can I get your autograph?
And also, they did a lot of good work for charity and stuff like that, and that's fantastic. The documentary doesn't really go into like, and here's everything we fixed.
Yeah, and Quincy Jones knew how to start that bad boy. That was another cool thing.
Harry
They had that
Belafonte
guy
starting it too.
they had that guy how to start the recording.
Oh,
They had
yeah,
that
yeah.
guy that did the charity. He just got back from Africa to talk about like,
Yeah.
you know, how there's just 15 pounds of flour for 15,000 people over there, and it was like that really set the stage for everybody. I was like, Quincy Jones knows how to make a song, dude. This guy knows how to work.
He's the one I'm worried about.
Who?
Quincy Jones.
Oh, that he might.
Yeah.
Travel
So
on.
Jake and I have a thing that sometimes when we talk about someone, like something bad will happen
Where we
to
start to really enjoy them.
them. Right. Quincy Jones is 91. So we're recording this on July 15th.
I was not familiar with your game, sir. I thought you were somebody that just put his name on things.
He wrote the
I thought it was something that
that'll play into what we're going to talk about next.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought he threw money at problems, but no.
He's one of those. He's like Bill Belichick of the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Like he didn't play the game, but he knows how the game works,
And he's
better than anybody.
More involved than I ever thought.
Yeah.
So I walked away being fascinated by Quincy Jones watching this thing.
Yeah,
Very fascinating documentary. Really
And-
well done.
and his daughter is super funny.
And that song, it's a good song.
It's okay.
It's silly.
It's 80s.
It really thinks highly of itself, but that's okay.
Quincy Jones also wrote the Austin Powers theme song.
Yes, he did.
Soul
Didn't he?
Bossa Nova. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Quincy Jones. I think that was the first time I ever did Quincy Jones. And I think that decided that I will be doing all the Austin Powers impressions from here on out on the podcast.
They're coming back, baby. I'm so excited.
You had a perfect opportunity there with Baby
No,
to do your Austin
that's not
Powers
how you
impression.
do it. He doesn't do it like You cannot. You only have to do it at yeah, baby. Hi, I'm Austin Powers. Yes, baby.
God, you're good.
Yes, baby.
It's so amazing watching you work. All right, let's get into my recommendation for Jake, which was the the Max documentary, Taylor Swift and Scooter Braun, Bad Blood. So, this I recommended to Jake for 2 reasons. One, I talked briefly at the end of the last show about the Jefferson Society debates, when you kind of got to make a decision at the end. And I really like this documentary, not just for the subject matter, because I'll admit, going into this, I had a pretty heavy bias. And the bias was obviously towards Taylor Swift, because I did not know much about this dispute. Essentially what happened with the dispute is Taylor Swift, her first 6 records were done through Big Machine Records, and she
She didn't have the music
She didn't
rights.
have the master's rights. So
Yeah.
in music publishing, she owns the music and the lyrics.
Yeah.
And
she's done that
so
on
that
the
means she can
recordings.
make money off of playing it live.
Yeah.
But the actual recording is owned by Big Machine Records.
Yeah.
Then Big Machine in 2019 sells the company to Scooter Braun in his company,
Yep.
who Taylor Swift does not like because of stuff with Scooter Braun representing Kanye West. And Kanye West and Taylor Swift have a beef, and she took it personal. And then that led to her now re-recording her first 6 albums, the self-titled Fearless, Red, Speak Now, 1989, have all been re-released as Taylor's version.
Yes.
So now you can listen to Taylor's version, or you can listen to the Scooter Braun, not Scooter Braun owned anymore, and then that way she profits from that because she just re-recorded all of her old stuff.
Right.
Scooter Braun was much maligned in the Taylor Swift space as a big old villain, and I thought this was an interesting way to do a documentary because the documentary is 2 parts, Taylor's version and Scooter's version, where it's kind of done a little bit like a court case, where it's like, here's the defense and here's the prosecution pleading
Sure.
their case. Or it's more like a civil case. There's no defense and
Yeah.
prosecution. There's,
Here's
the plaintiff
evidence
and the
presented
defendant.
as I present them.
Right. And then
Here's how I present things.
so you get to kind of
It's
serve
the last duel.
it's a bit of the last duel. But you, as someone that was pretty impartial on this, because you didn't know who Scooter Braun was,
Yeah.
and you have no real feelings on Taylor Swift.
None.
Yeah. Her music's catchy, the songs you've heard, but you have no
I don't like
affection for her.
her music. There's some songs that I do like.
That are catchy.
Yes.
Remember when Richie
the
and the
Christmas
Bear
song-
was singing that song?
The Christmas song that she has is very pretty.
Christmas Tree Farm?
I don't know. Can
Yeah.
I go where you go?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know that song?
Yeah, that's Lover. It's not a Christmas song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they play it on Christmas every year
Oh, do
at
they?
Wawa. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
I thought the song was beautiful. I think
Oh,
that
yeah.
song is wonderful. Mm-hmm. And then she's got other songs. If I Was a Man, that song is fun as hell. There's a catchy song for you. That song's
sure is.
catchy as hell. But other than that, Bad Blood itself, that song is terrible.
Yeah, it's not great, and they talk about that in this documentary, too.
Do they?
Yeah.
I don't remember that part.
Oh, they talk about the music video for it.
Oh.
So, but
Yeah,
then they
talk
also
about the
present
music video.
Scooter's version,
Yes.
which kind of, they have lawyers come up and review contracts and stuff. So I wanted to get Jake's unbiased opinion
Yeah.
on Taylor Swift versus Scooter Braun. And something they talk about in this documentary is speaking ill of Taylor Swift
Yeah.
can drive some web traffic
So-
negatively
There's
towards people.
a lot of wild things in this
There is.
documentary series.
It's a little the opposite of We Are the World because it's not musicians acting nice to each other.
Biggest thing, they talk to nobody interesting. Not a single person who was an interesting person.
Very tertiary people.
Just people that there was one time they talked to one person who was just Taylor Swift's friend, as they said, but it was a man who proposed to his husband with a song,
Very sweet.
wrote an email to Taylor being like, hey, you helped me marry my husband, thank you so much. And she appeared, I'm getting choked up just talking about it.
Yep.
She appeared and sang the song to them.
Yeah.
And that is the sweetest thing that I have ever heard
I
her
know.
do.
Yeah.
I was like, that's worth it. That's worth it right there. That story is wonderful.
So that happened in Taylor's version. At that point, you were Team
Yes.
Taylor.
Well, at that point,
You could say you were
sure,
Team Taylor.
I was
Yeah.
Team Taylor.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on, and then now I know what's going on.
Okay.
And I would say I'm still Team Taylor easily, because
See, so this is
the Scooter Braun version,
Mm-hmm.
which is, legally he has the rights to him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't care. She's the artist. It's her work. She has the right to be upset about stuff that she's done.
right.
I don't care about the legality of it. Legally, I'm fine. Morally, I don't think so. So
Yeah.
where do we go from here, buddy?
All right. Let me play a little devil's advocate for you. In the Scooter's version of the documentary,
Billionaire Scooter Braun.
now he owns
Yeah.
all the Taylor Swift music.
Yeah.
Of course, he's got money.
Billionaire Scooter Braun. Yeah.
Or billionaire Taylor Swift.
Yes, has a problem with billionaire Taylor Swift. Yes,
Okay.
continue.
These are
Continue.
two billionaires talking about something very petty, which is kind of great because it's millions and millions of dollars, but it's
You're not
people
gonna-
arguing over
Yeah.
who's allowed to play certain songs a certain way.
You're not going to like the direction that I'm going.
Okay, well, let me just play with this real quick. And there is a bit of, they have a lawyer come out and read documents and be like, well, the things she was saying are not true. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of weaponizing a fan base, something I know that you get upset with people riling up a fan base over what can be seen as kind of a false cause. We talked about this with your video game with that lady getting censored and people trying to drum up controversy about it. What's
The lady getting censored? Stellar Blade?
Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
We talked about that on the show and how you're
yeah,
like, oh no, these
that's fake
people are just trying to
controversy.
work
Yeah.
up the fan base for whatever reason.
Yeah,
I thought that would kind of make
drives
you
them attention.
set you off a little bit, like maybe she was trying to
The difference
stir up
here,
the fan base.
And the girl whose name, her
Taylor
last name
Swift.
is Biker Dyke. That's her last name. She's on Scooter Braun's side.
Uh-huh.
She says, "Yeah, I know that she's got a big fan base, but she still has a very specific fan base. She's got like 2 billion fucking fans.
Yeah.
She's got a large fan base.
It's hard to be specific when you're
She's got the biggest fan base.
a quarter of the planet.
And you don't think some of them are psychopaths. It's different. I don't think Taylor's coming out. So here's my thing.
I think we should be careful how we phrase this going forward.
So here's my thing.
Yep.
Taylor is a young woman
Uh-huh.
who is...
She's 35.
Taylor was 15 when she signed this contract.
Facts.
There we go. Now you're on my side because I'm using facts. She was a young girl making choices that she didn't know what it meant at the time, you know?
And also, she didn't know how big she was going to be. There's no way of her knowing that she was going to be
And they're
2
moving
billion
out,
fans.
And they could have sold her her masters, right?
Yeah.
I would believe that would be a thing that she would want, and I don't know why she would lie about not wanting that. I would feel like they would still trying to profit off of her, work it out. I can't believe you got me doing this, dude.
I know.
It's so fucking bad.
I think it's great.
I feel goddamn sick to my stomach.
I'm so happy right now.
But because she was perceived as a young, naive woman, she had no recourse on how to go with this. You know, something that she did not like and not want to happen to her music.
Yeah.
So she went the only way that she could, which was just straight up tell her fans.
Scorched earth.
Yes, just tell her fans. Just say, this is what's happening to my music. There you go.
Right.
There you go. Like, these people want to keep my music and I want it. And then they sold it to the person that represented an asshole.
He is.
And he represents other people that still make fun of me, still bully me.
Justin Bieber makes fun of you?
Yeah, Justin Bieber made fun of her.
Oh.
That was the picture
I thought
in
you
the
were talking.
Instagram
I thought you were talking personally.
No.
Like, I was like,
So-
what did Justin Bieber do to you?
So of course she's upset.
Yeah.
And now she found a recourse and she's using it. And now they're saying, no, you can't do it that way. You
Right.
have to do it our way. And she's like, I tried. I wanted to. You said no. I would believe her side just because it makes more sense to me that the people that are making money off of her want to continue making money off of her.
Right.
Where she said, don't stop doing that. I don't want you to do that.
Can I tell you what turned me a little bit?
Go ahead.
Because let me say this. I still love Taylor Swift. I love her music. I think she's
don't
great.
love her music.
Well, I do.
And I am fine, but
You're ambivalent.
No.
Some of the songs are good.
Somebody that does jack shit for music wants
Oh, you're
music.
talking from the
Scooter Braun.
What
If
kind
Quincy Jones
of goddamn
was
right?
in this,
I think
I would
that's-
have a different feeling.
That's part of it too. Is Scooter Braun's not a producer?
Yeah, he's nobody.
He's a manager. Like he's just a talent manager.
Yes.
He's a business school.
Well, I have no idea what he is.
We
but
we don't like
he's
business
making,
schools.
He's
on this
making
show.
money off of this stuff, and you want to do it like business. That she says, I want to do it like business, and then they're like, no, we can't do it that way. That's not our business that we want to do. And she's like, well, then I'm not going to do it the business way.
It is. It's a funny middle finger to re-record all this stuff. I think
Yes.
that's genuinely
That's
cool
great.
and funny.
Yeah.
And speaking from experience, I've been told, turn this off. This isn't Taylor's version. Play
Yeah.
Taylor's version. I won't say who in my life has told me that.
It was me. You're welcome.
It was Jake. Out of everyone in my life that I've talked about, the show, clearly it's my friend Jake. What kind of soured me a little bit is I didn't know that her dad was a big time banker.
Yeah.
And bought a 3% stake in the record label, and he made like $15 million of the sale, and she still said she didn't know about it.
Yeah.
I thought that would sour you real quick.
That part?
Yeah. I thought that would turn you against her like that. At that point, you were just numb.
What's her dad? I don't know who her dad is. I don't know what their relationship is.
Well,
Do they hang out all the time?
Yeah.
Is he at the studio all the time making wheeling deals, or was he just going, I'm making money off of my daughter? How do I score one of her hot young friends?
Oh, no, not like that. They're still married. By all accounts, they're very nice people. I just thought that would trigger you at the end. I thought you were going to be like, nope, I'm done with her.
It just doesn't make sense.
Huh.
It doesn't make sense to me.
You are an enigma to me sometimes.
How?
I don't know.
I'm with the artist. I'm always with the artist.
Right.
100%.
Huh.
Even if I don't like their stuff, I'm always with the artist.
God
if
damn it.
somebody is trying to make money off of you, fuck them. If you're not helping, go away.
Huh.
I'm always with the artist.
You stick to your convictions, and that's what I appreciate about you.
It's incredible that you would think I would ever want Scooter Braun to have any part in the music industry.
I kind of thought you were going to end with fuck them both.
Well, no, because don't fuck them both.
Right.
Because I want them to be human beings and be happy, but they're
Yeah.
both billionaires. They're both going to be fine.
Fair.
And an artist that wants their art is a cause I can get behind, always.
Huh. All right.
Breaks my heart. It breaks my heart.
So what do you give, just on a filmmaking thing, what do you think of the documentary? Just they talk to uninteresting people?
It's a 2.
It's a 2?
Those people
You can definitely, it definitely does get the vibe that
this
was an unlicensed
gossipy
thing.
bitches, all of them, man. And
Kind of a cash grab.
Oh my gosh, when they were like, you could just see the look in her eye when she said this stuff. It's like, quit talking.
So there are 2 rival Taylor Swift subreddits, like 2 big ones. One's very anti-Taylor Swift and one's very pro-Taylor Swift. And I'm sure there are more. That's just the 2 big ones. From the pro-Taylor Swift, I was searching through the subreddits because I hate myself. The pro-Taylor Swift side kind of, I think, agrees with you. People said, this is user Foxy Squirrel. She said, I'm personally not giving this documentary a watch. Taylor has nothing to do with it. It's very likely to be one of those documentaries that tell the story with a little bit of news articles, a little bit of speculation that can't be confirmed but stated as fact. Just another way for people to capitalize on Taylor's fame without her consent.
The ending of the documentary
was
like Taylor Swift's refused an interview. Her team sent us this, and it was like, this is a part of her life that she is leaving behind, and she created great art off of it. We're done here.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
The
only reason I know about it is because these leeches decided that we needed to know more about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The anti-Taylor Swift side goes from people saying that, she's manipulative to it goes full in search of a flat earth real quick.
Yeah.
That she's a CIA plant, a psyop. And I was like, oh, I'm getting nothing beneficial from this side of the subreddit. One interesting part of the documentary that kept taking, sometimes you just watch something and you're like, that's dated. Like when they're doing the We Are the World with the tapes, you're like, oh yeah, it was a different time.
Yeah.
And this was talking about stuff from 2019. But the thing that kept pulling me out is like, and she posted on Tumblr. I'm like, huh.
Oh yeah.
What an interesting time that we lived in when people would take to Tumblr to make big declarations. What happened to that website?
Oh, you don't know?
No.
So
I just remember famous people would be like, oh, follow me on Tumblr, and now you never hear about Tumblr.
Tumblr was like, no more porn. They're like, no more.
No way.
Yeah.
That's what killed Tumblr?
Anything that's on porn, we're taking it off. And then everybody was like, I guess we're leaving. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Good job, the internet.
The Tumblr was out there like, we're gonna crack down on this child abuse thing that we have on this website. No more porno. And everybody was like, all right, pack up, everybody. It's time to leave.
Bar's closing, everybody. Get out.
Jeez, I guess they're not going to serve alcohol at this bar anymore.
That's hilarious. All right. Well, it gets a 2. I'll give your documentary a 3. It's a revised 3 for me.
Because if you're interested in this stuff, they document it well.
Yeah, I would actually, I'd probably give it a 2 as well, even being interested in it. I don't think it was... I think Foxy Squirrel on Reddit summed it up very well. It was just, it seemed like a cash grab of the documentary.
It was these people that got money off of it.
Right.
Yeah. They're still, and they have nothing else going for themselves.
No.
That's what I picked up.
And it's 2 billionaires that could not be bothered with what's going on HBO.
And I could not believe the gall of those people, man. Oh my gosh, I hate listening to this.
And also, Kanye West is still a dick.
That one guy who had Taylor Swift perform for their
engagement party. Yeah,
that was the sweetest thing I've ever seen. I was so happy about that, and then everything else, because I was listening intently, because I was like, "You prove to me you're a friend,"
right?
Because they were like, "You're talking as a friend." I was like, "Yeah, you met her once," and he did, but it is so cute. I was like, but that's what I was thinking. I was like, if Bobby Fingers was in some type of turmoil, and they asked us to be in the documentary, I'll be like, make sure it says friend on her name.
They could it'd be both of us sitting on the couch and be like, Bobby Fingers friend.
Yeah.
Jake and Taylor.
Yeah.
Friend of Bobby Fingers. We refer to him as friend of the show.
Yeah.
He's not our friend. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. If you have any recommendations, or if you had any thought, or if you have any hate mail because somehow you stumbled upon this documentary or this podcast because we were talking about Taylor Swift.
I think that you wanted me to rustle up some feathers with my hot takes.
Oh, no. It's not a psyop. It's search engine optimization.
Yes.
Jacob. That's what we're going for.
I'm not interested.
My Shoresy video is not doing as well as I wanted it to.
I'm sorry.
So we're trying to bump up the things. So write us at upyouralleypod@gmail.com. You follow us on Instagram and TikTok and all that good stuff. But let's find out what we're going to be talking about next week. Jake, what do you got for me? Well, actually, I'll do mine first because you already know mine. Peek behind the curtain. There's no surprise here for Jake.
You cannot do kayfabe for a single minute.
We're not going to do kayfabe?
Because if you were going to be like, I want to suggest this book to you, I was going to be like, wow! Glory be!
No, I'm tired. So I recommended, I gave Jake this book last week because I wanted him, or I told him about it because I'm like, hey, just so you know, and I didn't want you to feel put upon because there is an audiobook for it on Spotify, but it's like 4.5 hours long. And I'm like, okay, I don't want you to have to, rush through it. And also I wanted him to enjoy it because I really think Jake is going to enjoy this book. It's a book, it's written by two authors, Amal M. Motar and Max Gladstone. Two, I think they're both Canadian sci-fi authors. This is a book called This Is How You Lose the Time War. It's a great book. It's written, like I said, by two authors. Both of them are writing for a different character, just known as, we'll just start just Red and Blue. They're on opposite factions of a future war, and they write each other letters going back and forth, and a relationship develops between the two of them because they're showing up at times when they're traveling up the time stream and down the time stream to change things so they can go back. It's basically like if two Terminators were writing each other letters every time they go back to a different time to try to kill John Connor. And it's a funny idea. I think it's just really well-written sci-fi. It's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of humor. And it's very good. Again, it's available on Spotify if you have Spotify Premium. This is how to lose how you lose the time war.
I want to. We're doing a book club thing again. I'm excited, dude.
You got a book for me?
No, I mean we're doing another book review. That's what we call book clubs, where we read a book and then we talk.
No, I just thought it was gonna be two books, like we did two music documentaries this time.
No, I don't got a book for you.
All right, well, what do you got for me?
So I have a YouTube.
I love YouTube.
Video for you from Lindsay Ellis, if you know who that is. So she is a video essayist.
Name is familiar.
She used to be the nostalgia chick back when we were young. But she's got a new one about Yoko Ono. And watching the Taylor Swift documentary that you had me watch reminded me of this.
Oh, shit, this popped up in my algorithm. I recognize this thumbnail. Lindsay Ellis, Yoko Ono, and the Beatles. Oh, that's the ad.
There it is.
No one cares about that shit. Lindsay Ellis. Yeah. This popped. I saw this thumbnail. Came out 10 days ago. It's got 1.4 million views.
I watched it. I thought it was great. It was something that I started to believe about Yoko Ono a couple years ago when I read about her performance art. Because I think you were with me where you've listened to Yoko's music before, which is like screeching and hard to listen to.
Not great.
And I thought that was her stuff, and I was like, that's just weird and bad. But then I read about her performance art, and I was like, that's actually very cool.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful, honestly. She has she used to do a performance where she would give audience members a pair of scissors and say to cut off parts of her clothing. And they would just go down the line cutting off pieces of her clothing. And I thought that was great because people would say that that's very sexual or that's very violent. And it's like, it's actually kind of what the audience wants. What they're the ones that are in control of the piece now.
Well,
and I was like, okay, so she's actually kind of a really cool artist. And watched this video, and I was like, all right, that's a fantastic documentation. It actually got me to like the Beatles more.
Really?
Yeah.
So this, like I said, this popped up in my thing. I just remember seeing this thumbnail. It's a good thumbnail, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm interested in this because I'm kind of where it sounds like you started about Yoko Ono with the caveat that I do not like performance art.
I love performance art.
God, I have a great book for you then.
I think, well, it's just, I love art. I
understand.
Anybody creating anything. Yeah. If it doesn't make any sense to me, that part sucks.
Yeah.
But when it makes sense to somebody else, then I love it.
Yeah.
You know, it's fantastic. It's like a Rothko. I still don't see it in Rothko, but people tell me you got to see it in real life. But I haven't yet.
I don't know what Rothko is.
Rothko, you'll notice it immediately. He just big canvases of just like one color typically. And everybody's like, photos don't do it a justice.
You
That's
type in
actually fantastic.
Rothko, it's a bunch of fun camouflage pants. Is that him?
That's him. Ooh, he looks good.
That's not really him. Though.
No, it's not.
That's a
Rothko.
That's a military tactical outdoor clothing brand.
But it's something that it means a lot to a lot of people.
I got you.
And like, I think that's great.
Okay.
I love that part of it.
Cool. All right, so I'm going to check out Lindsay Ellis's video essay on Yoko Ono and the Beatles. Jake is going to finish reading This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amala Motar and Max Gladstone. I want to thank our buddies, Brother Bill, for letting us use their songs for our intro and outro. Want to thank our man Jimmy for doing all the thumbnails. Jake, thanks for coming over. Love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.
Bye.